The book Animal Farm is a fiction book about the uprising of the animals. The book starts out with an old pig named Major telling the animals about his dream of rebelling against the farmer. A few weeks later, Major died, and it was up to the other animals to get the rebellion together. Some more time passes, and Mr. Jones, the farm owner, decides to go out drinking and does not feed the animals. Not being able to bear their hunger, the animals broke into the storage and ate all the food. Mr. Jones got home and was angry and began to whip the animals, and so began the rebellion. The animals later won the rebellion, which caused them to then have to run the farm themselves, and later became a dictatorship when some of the pigs were kicked out. George Orwell, whose real name is Eric Arthur Blair, was born June 25, 1903, and died January 21, 1950. Orwell wrote many different forms of writing, such as poetry, literary criticism, and fiction. George Orwell's most famous writing was 1984, published in 1938. He was ranked second by the Times in the top 50 British writers. He also wrote a book on his own accounts of the Spanish Civil War. The major characters in Animal Farm are Napoleon and Snowball. They are very different in many ways. Snowball and Napoleon never could agree on anything. Snowball believed in a democratic system of running Animal Farm, but Napoleon wanted to be a dictator and run things all by himself. The only thing they had in common was that they were both pigs and were leaders. Two more characters are Moses and Boxer. Boxer was a big horse that was very strong and could do any work. Meanwhile, Moses was a donkey and was extremely lazy, but was very wise. The major conflict in Animal Farm was that after the rebellion, they didn't know how to run the farm, so it was left up to the pigs because they were known to be the wisest. At first, it was Snowball and Napoleon running it, but then Napoleon wanted all the power to himself, so he forced Snowball out. In Animal Farm, George Orwell wanted to show how the democratic system of government would work way better than communism and all of the bad sides of communism. The thematic elements are conflict and character development. George Orwell had expressed the relationship of the pigs in the beginning of the book through the quote, "These three had elaborated on old Major's teachings into a complete system of thought, to which they gave it the name of animalism." Orwell 12. But later on, Napoleon decided that he was going to throw away the friendship and decide to take all the power himself. In 20th century young adult writers, it says, however, as the years pass, the pigs, cleverest of the animals, gradually assume more and more power as a new elite under their leader Napoleon. Snowball was racing across the long pasture. He was running as only a pig can run, but the dogs were close on his heels. Napoleon, with the dogs following him, now mounted onto the raised portion of the floor where Major had previously stood. Orwell 48. This quote reminds me of a dictator who has just gotten his position and is ready to take control of his country. I was given Animal Farm to read, and I was given advice that it was an allegory of the Russian Revolution and the decline of subsequent Soviet communism. Fitzpatrick is trying to say that the whole book Animal Farm is based off the Soviet Union. All the animals were capered with joy when they saw the whips go up in flames. Orwell 16. It did not seem strange when the pigs were carrying whips. Orwell 118. These two quotes together depict how, at the beginning, the animals were extremely happy when the whips were burnt, but eventually the pigs themselves started carrying whips. And the slogan, "All animals are equal," is extended by the clause, "but some animals are more equal than others," at the end of the story. This is explaining the fact that from the beginning of the story it was all animals are equal, to only some of the animals being equal, and some are less. George Orwell's Animal Farm is a book of rebellion. The book is about the pigs Napoleon and Snowball organizing a rebellion. The animals ran the farm by themselves and were figuring ways to complete daily tasks. Napoleon then overthrows Snowball and creates a dictatorship. The conditions then proceed to get worse and worse for the animals, but better for the pigs. The pigs slowly over time change the rules to their own liking, and slowly take on human-like features. Overall, I would rate the book a 9 out of 10 and say it is a must-read for anybody.